good morning, if it is a good morning for the New York Yankees. What is up to everybody out there? It is Rob McDonald. This is Pinstripe Chronicles. I almost said it was Nerding Out Sports for a second. It's been a while since it's been the two of us. No Bobby Tats today. He's got some things to take care of. But fret not, Uncle Tats will be back sooner than later. Unfortunately, he's not going to be here to talk about the mess that was the Yankees last night. Let's lead off with the circus that has been left field all season long. Now, I don't know if you caught the interview from John Boy Media and Aaron Boone yesterday, but John Boy came out. He disguised the trivia question as a way to get to the front office, and he said, how many people have started in left field for the Yankees since 2021? The answer is like 20, I think, in total.
What?
13 have started 5 or more games. So then John Boyd says, don't you think it'd be a little easier if you just had a guy? And Boone goes, yeah, kind of like he's in disbelief. Like he's in disbelief. And I was like, that is so perfect because last night we saw, once again, the Yankees not having a left fielder is costing them innings. It's costing them games because Herman had some good stuff last night, even though he got tagged a little bit towards the end. If not for that defense, you feel like that game would have been a lot more borderline for him. He could have given you 5 or 6, kept them to maybe 3, possibly 4 runs, and given you a chance to come back in the game. But because we don't have a defense in the outfield, we don't have an outfielder aside from Harrison Bader, who also didn't look very good and hasn't looked that good lately, you're seeing this mess. So how has this team gone all season? 100-plus games. We're getting into late July, going into August. We still don't have a left fielder, and we've talked about it so much, but you're seeing it day in and day out. The other night it was Bowers and Wright, 95% catch probability, couldn't make it. Yesterday that bloop in the first inning, 90% catch probability, ends the inning. They don't make the play, a run scores the very next at-bat. How are we still doing this? And how am I, and I said this on Twitter, I'm like defeated right now. I can't be invested in this team if they don't take themselves seriously. How are you waiting this long to get a left fielder? It's baffling to me. And the 2 guys that could help you in your system right now, or at least one guy who's been there all year, Pereira just got to AAA and he's been great, but Florial's been there all season. And you've refused to call him up for the likes of Franchi Cordero and Billy McKinney and Jake Bowers and all these guys who can't play the outfield. And we're continuing to start them day in and day out, whether it's IKF or Cabrera. At this point, the idea of having Judge play left field looks like a freaking gold mine. And we don't have Aaron Judge to even do that. It's been so bad. It's been so brutal. That's my rant to start the show, but it's just been so unwatchable and so frustrating that this team is going 4 months, no left fielder, and no urgency to try to put an end to this circus that is the outfield defense.
Circus is the best word, man. You can't find a better word to describe our left field situation. It is a circus. And they are making it a freaking circus. It's like watching the New York fucking circus every fucking day in left field. It's you put the Benny Hill in the left field, and you watch these dudes running around like headless chickens, dropping balls left, right, and center, and making a complete fool of themselves on a daily basis. And this is what Brian Cashman has used for $293 million plus over the last few years. You brought up the John Boy thing. I have to check that out, but credit to him because that's a very smart way of getting your point across without outwardly saying your general manager is a freaking moron. And that's the best way of doing it. It's completely insane what they've done. It's insane. They don't really have an outfield at all, but they definitely don't have a left fielder. One day of the day, I don't know who's going to play left field. Most likely it's going to be an infielder. And this is why we are where we are. I tried to watch that game yesterday. I turned it off after 6-0. I didn't watch another fucking inning. And that's unlike me because I usually watch like every single inning, just rain or shine. But as you said, Rob, how can you get invested in a product or how can you get invested in a team that don't take themselves seriously? They don't take themselves seriously. They don't look prepared. I watched that game. I'm like, they don't communicate to each other in the outfield. The amount of times that there was a pop up in the outfield yesterday, and Bader was not communicating with McKinney, and McKinney wasn't communicating with frickin' Bader, or Bowers wasn't communicating with fucking Bader, and nobody was communicating with each other. The infield wasn't communicating with the outfield, and balls were dropping left, right, and center. And if they did make a catch, God bless them if they managed to, they'd run into each other because no one was talking. And that goes down to the manager. And then I'm going to pick up what Neil says here. Wanted a manager with a brain because apparently it was like, but that's the point. Say what you want about Aaron Boone. I don't think he's an architect for this disaster. But there's certain things that a manager is responsible for, and that's preparation. Your guy's being ready to play. Now, I know it's not his fault that there's a literal circus act going on in left field, but it is his responsibility to ensure that everybody talks to each other and communicates with each other and knows exactly what their jobs are one moment to the next. That's exactly how it should be, and they don't look like they bothered. Did they look like they went into that game going, this is a big game for us. We get one over the Mets, we win the town, and we continue to climb the wild card hunt. Did they look like they gave a fuck? No. As soon as it was like 1-0, they looked like they were done. And that run that they gave up was ridiculous. That first run that they gave up was completely ridiculous. It was completely avoidable. And prior to that 3-run home run, Herman got screwed again because, again, there was miscommunication between, I think it was Volpe and the outfield. And then there was miscommunication between Bowers and there's, I think it was the pop-up that dropped for the first RBI. Bowers was going on the pull side towards right field. And he was way out of place, and he couldn't get to the ball in time because there was no communication, and it was just a very poorly organized outfield situation. And these kind of things do fall on the manager. Does fall on the on of course these veteran players. It's a responsibility to know what they're doing. But there was so much that was wrong yesterday that goes beyond the box score. Yeah, 9-3 is freaking terrible, but there's so much more. You watch that, you're like, now these guys don't know what they're doing right now. There's no purpose out there. There's a lot of mistakes happening. And NFE says here this team has a lot of miscommunication. These plays you guys are talking about are a common theme this year. Exactly. It's on a daily basis, but it was so obvious yesterday. You saw Bowers and McKinney run into each other when they made one catch at one point, and they almost dropped the ball. And then obviously there was the RBI where Bowers was way over there, and McKinney didn't bother running, and no one really knew what they were doing. And this has been happening almost on a play-to-play basis, and it's just the defense is a joke. The situation is a joke. They're not prepared. I don't know exactly how much they really care because, my God, it didn't look like they cared too much yesterday. And this has been a common theme all year. So, yeah. You can't put that on the manager. I can't put a lot of this on the manager because he's not the architect of this. This is dumb, but it is his responsibility to have guys that communicate with each other, are ready to play like their head's on fire, and give it a real go. And they don't do it. So why should I give that my time, and why should I continue to be invested and get nuts and get involved with a team that doesn't take themselves seriously, as you said, Rob? Spot on.
And you think about it, like last year we had the best defense in baseball. Like they emphasized defense. We had Bader in center towards the end of the season. Even before that, the center field defense wasn't actually terrible. It wasn't as bad as we're seeing. We had Benintendi before he got hurt. Even before that, Aaron Hicks's defense wasn't, up until the give up play, his defense wasn't awful. And then of course you had Judge. And now you lose Judge, and you're using 2 first basemen as your corner outfielders. This is what you get, and it's been a joke. It's been a joke watching these guys try to play. The fact that we have had 5 infielders at this point, or 4 infielders and a DH, be our left fielder at some point this year. McKinney, Bowers, Franchi's a DH. He's not an outfielder. IKF, Oswaldo Cabrera. Like, this is what you're rolling out there in left field, and I can't believe that this is what they did and said this is a championship operation. Like, no, it's not. A championship operation would have had an actual left fielder, and I feel bad that Aaron Judge has to come back and try to fix this, because if he does come back Friday, which is what the rumors are, he's going to be asked from day one to be like, you got to drive in 6, because that's how we're going to win. It's all on his shoulders now. And again, that goes back to how this team was built. It's a roster with good players that relies on one player. And that's a shame, because we're 8-1 against the Royals and Athletics this year. And we're like 47-45, I think, and the rest of the way through. So we're against the 2 worst teams, literally the worst team. I think the Oakland Athletics are the worst team ever. I looked at their stats yesterday. They might be the worst team of all time because they're trying to lose. And we lost the game against them. And the Royals might be the second worst team of all time.
Oh, they are horrifying.
And we swept them. So what we are against those teams is a good team. What we are against the rest of the league so far to this point is a 500 baseball team. And it goes all the way to the way this team was constructed. Not a single left fielder was brought in the offseason. Not even a veteran minimum signing. It was a bunch of minor league contracts for first baseman. And the only one who was actually an outfielder, I didn't even mention Willie Calhoun, who's a DH as well. The only one who was actually an outfielder was Ortega, and they let him go. So, like, this is what we get. This is what you get when you have a bad operation, and you're seeing it, the fact that we're going into August. For the second straight year, we have to add a left fielder at the deadline. Actually, the third straight year.
Third straight year, man. We had to
go get Gallo.
Remember?
Yeah, 3 years in a row.
3 years.
It's brutal. And they don't think this is a problem. I really, like, I'm leaning towards just sell it all, whatever you can again, but I know that's not going to be the case. They're going to get an outfielder, whether it's one guy and a catcher, and they call it a day, or a relief pitcher and a left fielder. They're going to get somebody, but the fact that they still are not giving a shot to the one guy who's been having a great year in Scranton all season, can actually play the outfield, and they won't use him in favor of Jake Bowers and Billy McKinney and all these other guys, that just magnifies what this organization is. I can't believe it.
Years without a left fielder. At least. It's an absolute disgrace. And how Brian Cashman got a 4-year deal after this is a tragedy. It's a travesty. It's absolutely a travesty. There is no excuse for this. To have this circus act in left field, it is a circus act. And the whole outfield is a circus act. Let's be honest. Like, Bowers sucks. Why is he leading off? What has he done in his career to merit being a leadoff hitter for the New York Yankees? Gleyber Torres is doing a very good job of leadoff. Stop messing around with things that aren't broken. Gleyber Torres has done fine leading off, right? Put him at leadoff, right? You want to have Rizzo, then Stanton? At least you have 3 guys that you know have some kind of career behind them that could maybe do something, right? To start your game. Yeah, that's how you want to start, right? Then you follow it from there. DJ LeMahieu, blah, blah, blah. It still goes. You still can't polish a pig, right? You still can't put lipstick on a pig. It's still a shitty lineup, but at least constitute the lineup so that, you know, you got guys that are productive to start your order, and then you work from there. I think the Yankees would be in a much better spot. I think anybody would have preferred Gleyber Torres than Rizzo than Stanton to start, right? That's the best we can do, right? And then we put DJ LeMahieu, bat him 4th or 5th, whatever, and then you work from there. It's still not great, but it's better than having Bowers starting as leadoff for the Yankees, because you're automatic and it's automatic out to start with. Seems pointless to me. Bowers is shit. Sorry, he's shit. If you want to put him in the 7th or 8th in the order until Judge is back, okay, but he still sucks. I don't think he's good. Florial's better. I guarantee Florial's better. I'll guarantee that Pereira's better. Pereira's much better. I know he'll be better. But it's a circus act, and it's just shocking to me that we're in this situation where I watch a Yankee Met game and the Yankees looked completely incompetent against a Met team which is multiple games below 500. They are bad. They are a bad team. They're done, right? But Verlander always kills the Yankees. He absolutely strolled through that. I watched his 5-6 innings before we went 6-0, and it was a stroll. We didn't put any competitive at-bats together whatsoever. We were not involved. It was not a ball game. It never was a ball game. It wasn't a ball game from as soon as we started dropping balls in the outfield, and then they got a 1-0 lead. I was like, this game's over. The game was totally over, and then it was completely over at 4-0, where again the infield was freaking around, the outfield was fucking around, and then boom, 3-run home run, game over. I mean, I think Herman was good, but he got screwed by some terrible defense. Terrible defense. And I don't know, man. I don't know how Aaron Boone actually can sleep at night with this team that he puts out. I don't know how Brian Cashman sleeps at night for this roster that he's built. I really don't. And as MH says, my agent, good to see you, man. No fundamentals, exactly. But shout out to MH. He's a Met fan. Alonso carried us. Without him, that game is much different. Yeah, well, he got the 300 home run. He did his thing. But, bro, like, honestly, I think the Royals would have beaten the Yankees last night. The Yankees played like complete shit. Horse shit. And the Mets did their job. Verlander was good. The Yankees weren't competitive. There was no at-bat at any point other than a couple of good at-bats from Stanton where we actually looked like there was any competitive at-bats. It looked like the Yankees gave up right from the start. And that's never acceptable. Never will accept that.
No, you can't. And I do want to shout out to everybody in the chat. Elliot's in here. NFE. 4Train popped in here. Everyone,
yeah,
Jonathan.
Let's do a roll call.
Give us a roll call.
Right. Let's do the roll call. Right. Jonathan, good morning. NFE, good morning. Elliot, on the road with Guys in the Pinstripe Chronicles. Thank you. Thank you again for watching, my guy. Spence, last night was a clinic demonstrating how one play can have a major impact on a game. Was that the 3-run home run, or are you referring to the first RBI where our guys miscommunicated and dropped the ball? Because I would say that was the thing that changed the game. NFE, Yankees have an outfield? Yeah, exactly. Neil, Boonian architect. That's actually funny because he couldn't architect a proper method for humans to take a dump in commode. Brutal, but I love it. MH, again, shout out to you. NFE, the Yankees are using AI to construct their lineup. Yes, because lineup construction is a joke. My guy Mazza, what's up, Rob and Donald? What is up, Mazza? Happy Monday, happy whatever day we are. It's just every day is the same now. Every day is exactly the same for the Yankees. I don't know if it's Monday or Wednesday or Tuesday. Whatever day of the week it is, the Yankees suck.
It is Wednesday. Today is Wednesday. That doesn't change the fact that the Yankees do, in fact, stink. And there's not really anything else in the game to talk about because it was dominated by bad defense. And again, Herman isn't a top-of-the-rotation starter. But the fact that he was striking out the side, I think, in the second inning or something like that, and he had some good stuff. And if it wasn't for Pete Alonso, maybe that game is a lot different. But it doesn't change the fact that, once again, we got screwed by our outfield defense. How many times did we see it last year, whether it was IKF at short, screwing over Garrett Cole? But now it's just the outfield constantly screwing over the pitcher. So it's a joke. It really is a joke. And there's nothing else. Like, the offense didn't show up until late in the game, and it was already too late. They do that all the time. We're not going to get shut out, at least, and there's something to celebrate. But that's why the other day I said I would not be shocked if we get swept because it is Wednesday. I might make that my tag there on the bottom of my name. It is Wednesday. That'll be your alarm clock. It is Wednesday. But I said the other day that I wouldn't be surprised if we get swept. And I I truly feel that way. I don't know if we win tonight because Rodon is still working his way back. The Mets can easily put up 5 or 6 runs against him because you don't know what he's going to be like. And again, I knew we were going to lose yesterday because we don't hit Verlander. We could have had Cole versus Verlander. We'd probably lose that game 2-0. It is Wednesday. It is. It is Wednesday. You know what that means. Isn't that like telling though? Like the best thing to come out of a show talking about the Yankees is just a simple
what day it is,
telling you what day it was. Welcome to the pitch.
Every day the Yankees suck. So hey, today's a Wednesday. I need to be reminded. Now I need to see it on the ticker to remind myself what day it is. Oh my God, the Yankees are doing it to me, man. Like this is hard. This is tough. This is tough to watch. There's nothing. There's like I heard Michael Kay go after the front office, but he also went after the fans, going, "Oh, this is the one bad year, and you guys are already checking out." Blah, blah, blah. Well, to be honest, it's hard to be invested in a team that don't take themselves seriously, and that's what Rob rightly said at the start. It is very hard because you watch this and they look unprepared. This is not like half the lineup isn't even a lineup that you would ever invest in anyway because they're not going to be here much longer, and so it's kind of hard to get too invested. Like McKinney is not. He is what he is. He's a 4th outfielder in my opinion. Bowers, you'd be lucky to be on a major league roster and a lot of rosters, in my opinion. Bader sucked yesterday. He didn't play a good outfield, and he looked shit with a bat. We didn't have any offense. Volpe didn't look good. The infield looked miserable. Everything was miserable, and the pitching was terrible. And by the way, what's happening with Marinaccio? Let's talk about this. Marinaccio's got a 4 ERA now. Every time he's out there, he's giving up a couple of runs. What's happened to Marinaccio?
Everything that was working for him last year and into the first part of this year has fallen off, and I think he's just tired. We were seeing it from a lot of our arms. Michael King has been on an absolute tailspin. Even Clay Holmes, his last few outings, he's looked a lot different. And it looks like Canely, you couldn't get a hit off of him. He's given up some runs. We talked about it already. These guys are overused, and that's because of the mismanagement of the bullpen, the mismanagement of the rotation. And he's burned out. I think that's a perfect way to put it, NFE. I don't know any other way because he has good stuff, and getting Loaizaga back will help, and adding a relief pitcher will help. But how long before those guys get burned out? Because they're going to be overused. And this is what we deal with every single year. A guy who looks really good, even Wandy Peralta, who we're talking about as he could be the closer for this team, he's looked bad this year at times. Yep. At least lately. The bullpen has gone from being the best in baseball to being kind of like it's a coin flip of whether they're going to be good or not. And that burnout is real for a bullpen because early in the year, most managers, at least the Yankees, they don't let their pitchers go a lot of innings or a lot of pitches to starters. They have a limit first couple of starts, and then they kind of let them go as the game progresses or the season progresses. And that means the bullpen has to get overused. That's why you always see that Scranton shuttle, whether it's Greg Weissert or Matt Crook, who they didn't use until he was used and he was terrible. We've seen Nick Ramirez, Jimmy Cordero before he got suspended. All these different names that have had to come up here and pitch out of the bullpen. Ryan Weber, he also got hurt. This is what they do every year because the main guys are used so much in bad spots, and when they should not be used, they get burned out by the time we get to the middle of the year. So every year, despite our bullpen being really good, we have to add a bullpen arm because the bullpen gets burned out. And again, that's another knock on the front office. One thing Brian Cashman does so well is find bullpen arms, and then he gives them to Matt Blake and he turns them into a good arm. That guy gets burned out. We have to get another one. It's an ever-ending cycle every single year. So we're looking for a left fielder and a relief pitcher every single deadline. And nothing's going to change this year. Even the year we got Gallo, we also got Joely Rodriguez. Last year we had to get Efros and Lou Trevino. This year, we're probably going to have to get somebody else. I don't know who that's going to be yet, but there will be a move that we probably get a relief pitcher in. Whether it's a one-team trade like we did with Chicago a few years ago, we got Robertson and Canely, but they're going to have to do it again because the bullpen is burned out, and Marinaccio is like the poster child for it because he just looks completely different than he did just 2-3 weeks ago.
spot on. What I have to say about this front office, I think, is they are reactionary rather than proactive. They are the opposite of what you need in a front office. A front office is proactive. A good front office is proactive. It's a front office that can read how the tea leaves are going, can plan ahead, right? Cashman does the exact opposite. He rests on his laurels, and then it blows up in his face, and then he reacts. And it's often far too late, right? And it's often where he's behind the eight ball, where, oh shit, we don't have a left fielder. I'm going to have to overpay to bring in Joey Gallo, right? And then that blew up. And now, I don't have enough money now because I've spent all my money on bad players. Don't have any money for a left fielder, so I'm just going to let it go, right? All my bullpen is injured. I'm just going to let it go and then see what happens in July. That's what the front office does, man, because there was nothing to say that the Yankees couldn't have looked and brought in a cheap reliever at some point in June. Well, you're telling me 0 trades are available up until July. I refuse to believe that. Now, I'm not saying you're going to get a top-level great trade, but you could find someone that could maybe just help you, or you could stick in AAA, give them some innings, and then when our bullpen inevitably collapses, which it was always going to collapse, which we were all saying as a podcast all year to this point, that this was not sustainable. These guys are going to be burnt out. Wandy Peralta was pitching every other day. Marinacci was pitching every other day. Bray was pitching every other day. Holmes was pitching every other day. And then, lo and behold, we get to July. These guys are toast, right? And now we don't have any bullpen arms. So, yeah, I get it, man. And if he is right that, yeah, we have to bear in mind that a lot of guys were hurt. We lost a couple of guys, but there was nothing to say that Brian Cashman couldn't have planned ahead and brought in a reliever earlier than this, minimum, to help. Left field situation, I'm never going to forgive Brian Cashman for this. This is a complete and utter travesty of a front office decision. It's absolutely disgraceful. It's as disgraceful as taking on $50 million of Josh Donaldson for 2 years plus an option. Just as disgraceful, because this was literally leaving a massive hole. And left field is traditionally, around baseball, one of the power positions in the league. This is one of the positions that you need to have productivity. If you're going to be a good team, left field needs to be productive. You can't just stick out AN other and left field and just call it good. You need to have a productive left field. We have the least productive left field in the majors. We're certainly among the least productive, and guess what it's gotten us? Last place. And that's because of Brian Cashman. All because of Brian Cashman. You couldn't have put $5 or $6 million aside to bring in a major league left fielder? Come on. We're not that dumb. You did a freaking terrible job. You have completely screwed this team way before it even started. We were behind the eight ball before we even started. I am not going to forgive him for this. It is an absolute joke. Absolute joke. I can't believe I'm watching a front office, Brian Cashman, come out and lie to you in the media saying this is a major league, this is a championship caliber operation. This is not a championship caliber operation. A championship caliber operation doesn't go into left field without a left fielder. Championship caliber operation doesn't leave the bullpen high and dry before we even get to July. A championship caliber operation doesn't have your entire roster injured. A championship caliber operation doesn't have a manager who doesn't know what the hell he's doing out there. And a championship caliber operation wouldn't have players that don't know where they're supposed to be standing and aren't communicating with each other and running all over themselves and running in and outs. That's not a championship caliber operation to me. I don't know what his definition of a championship caliber operation is, because that's not my definition. And he's won multiple championships, so he's either lying to himself or he's delusional or he's lying to us. And either of the three are completely unacceptable for a GM who's making like $5 million a year to leave massive positions unattended and then say that this team's a championship caliber operation. I'm not taking any more bullshit anymore. This is a complete freaking lie. It's a complete joke. I don't care the Yankees lost to the Mets. The Yankees lose to the Mets a lot these days, but it's more the fact that I watched that game and they were never in it from the first inning. Fuck that.
Third
Fuck this
play,
game.
third or fourth play of the game, they weren't in it. And championship caliber operations don't go into the trade deadline looking to upgrade 5 different positions to climb out of the basement of your own division just to chase the third wild card spot. It's not a championship operation. And Sunil's calling you Shrek again. Here we go again with the
He knows what I'm all about. He knows I'm pissed.
But yeah, championship caliber operation. Traded for Josh Donaldson, $50 million of it, and that handicapped us for 2 straight off seasons. You couldn't get a left fielder. There were several. You could have had Bellinger for money, just money this offseason. You could have had Conforto, could have had Yoshida, you could have had Nimmo for all I care. Could have brought back Benintendi. But none of those things happened because you didn't want to pay the extra money. Also, you're paying $25 million to an aging, declining third baseman who you kept telling everybody was good and still had something left in the tank, who your analytics people told you to go and trade Gio Urshela for. Just to get rid of Gary Sanchez, you had to give up Gio Urshela just to get Josh Donaldson and get Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, who's now become a utility player, and to get Ben Rortvedt, who you won't play over Kyle Higashioka. Despite the fact that we're going against a lefty today in Quintana, so I guarantee we're probably going to see I don't know why. First of all, where's Peraza? They're not playing him every day. Another thing, once again, they call him up for the injury. They're not playing him every day. They said, he didn't get a hit in the second game. We're not playing him every day. They're doing the complete opposite with him that they did with Volpe. They let Volpe, and he's still going through those struggles, but they're playing him every single game, every day. Peraza starts, sits. I don't know what they're doing. Why isn't Rortvedt playing every day since he's come up for Trevino, or as often as possible? I get they don't want the catchers going too many days in a row, but what are they doing? Nothing they're doing makes sense. Whether it was Bowers leading off, LeMahieu's actually been hitting better. Put him back at the top of the order. Jake Bowers does nothing but hit the occasional home run or draw a walk. You could put that in the 5 or 6 spot in the order for now. And I know if they get Bellinger and they get Judge back, the lineup will be a lot better and they'll score some more runs, but it's probably too late at this point. Because if you lose tonight, even if they win, they're still going to be 3 or 2 games out of that spot. And then you got Baltimore coming up. And then Tampa Bay. By the time you get to the deadline, you could be 5 or 6 games out. Because I don't know if we can beat Baltimore right now. Maybe 1 out of the 3 that we play them, but I don't know if we beat them.
No. They're a better team.
Yeah, we have Garrett Cole going. I trust Cole against them, but that's it. I don't trust Sevy. I don't even trust Clark Schmidt against them because they never score for Clark Schmidt. So it's like we could be out of it by the time we get to the day of the deadline, and that's why the Yankees are waiting. But why are you waiting? Because when you swept Kansas City, yesterday was the perfect day, off day. You're riding high. We're in good spirits. You swept the team you're supposed to sweep. You're still very much alive. You're winning. You're getting good news on Judge. You're getting good news on Cortez and Loaizaga. Guys are starting to come back. Go out and get a bat. Why didn't they do that yesterday? Yesterday was the perfect day. Overpay if you have to. Go get Bellinger. Entice the Cubs to be like, he's a rental. We're probably not going to re-sign him. Let's trade him now. Or go get somebody. But we're still doing the same thing that was broken in June. It was broken in May. It was broken in April. We have not fixed the same thing that has been an issue from start to now. We have not had a left fielder, and they've refused to make a single move to try and fix that. That is my issue. Billy McKinney is fine off the bench, but he's a first baseman. Bowers is fine off the bench as a backup, but he's also a first baseman. Why aren't you getting an outfielder all season long? You've had 4 years, and Sunil brought it up early. We had to add McCutchen in 2018. Remember that? Even though we still had Gardner at that time playing pretty well. We've had to add an outfielder almost every year for the past 6 years since Boone's been here. And we've had good outfielders. Aaron Hicks had a great year in 2018. We had Stanton playing at a high level. Aaron Judge, of course. And we're still having to add outfielders. What does that tell you about this front office? It's championship operation, though.
This is a front office which is more worried about optics than actually improving this team. And I've said this for a long, long time. I mean, when Gene Afterman went after the fan base, basically called us dumb in as many words, called it stupid, and that Brian Cashman is the Wizard of Oz. That's the kind of spin that we get from the front office. Brian Cashman coming out saying this is a championship caliber operation. This is a front office which is determined to spin rather than just go and fix your needs. Instead of worrying what your fans think or what the media thinks, right? The media is always going to be on your side anyway because they're in bed with Hal and Brian Cashman. So they're going to get an easy ride from the media. They're not going to get an easy ride from us though, and so they're more obsessed with Zillow and their operations team and their media relations team and Brian Cashman are more obsessed with the image of the Yankees rather than just going and getting a left fielder and making this a damn good team. So you don't need to talk all the time and look like idiots. I mean, I'm not asking for much. Bring in a left fielder, bring in a couple bats that can hit a couple of home runs, and we can win a couple games and be in the playoffs, bare minimum. Then you don't need to worry about the optics so much. You don't need to worry about what the fans are thinking, the fans are booing, or whatever the fans are doing. Who cares, right? But the reason why we're upset is because you're not doing your job. We're just holding you to account, but you don't want to be held accountable. And that's where it all comes down to at the end of the day. And that's why I'm never going to give Brian Cashman the benefit of the doubt for this. There's nothing to forgive about this. Nothing. This was a joke. This was a joke going into April. We didn't have a left fielder. We had several spots without any power. It was all reliant on Aaron Judge. And this was the same Aaron Judge who Brian Cashman basically tried to get rid of. And if you don't believe me, how come Aaron Judge was like, I don't want Brian Cashman anywhere near the negotiations if I was to re-sign, right? And we gave Brian Cashman a 4-year deal for that. The one guy that we completely rely upon, the one guy that actually makes us look like a major league outfit on a daily basis, is the one guy that Brian Cashman screwed up the negotiations for, embarrassed him in public, tried to make him look greedy, tried to turn the fan base against him, to boo him. Aaron Judge replies by giving us one of the greatest seasons in the history of Major League Baseball, right? And then Brian Cashman still couldn't do any decent negotiating, and Hal had to come in the 11th hour in freaking Italy to save the day, right? So this is your general manager. The general manager we give a 4-year deal to. The general manager we're going to rely upon to rebuild this absolute joke outfit, what we are right now, last place team, right? We're entrusting him to make that decision. We're entrusting him to make the right decision for manager, the right decision for personnel, the right trades. He's made the wrong decision basically every single move over the last couple of years. The wrong decision. And we have to entrust him on another rebuild? Fuck out of here.
No, you can't trust him. And this is why we all said it as a podcast. I'll speak for myself. I respect Brian Cashman for his past success because he was I know people don't want to hear it, but he was a big part of those 90s teams. He was. That's why Stick Michael recommended him for the job. He wouldn't have done that if he didn't trust Brian Cashman. But the game passed him by a very long time ago. This is why we all asked for a change. It's not because I hate the guy so much. Oh, he's so terrible. We haven't had a losing season since he's been the GM. You can say that and be like, you can hang a star on that one, whatever. But when you haven't won a championship in this long for a team that has one of the highest payrolls, if not the highest payroll in the game every single year, that's an issue. Are we spoiled? Absolutely. Because the team tells us the goal every year. The team is not coming out and saying, well, we're looking to do this. We're looking to build off of last year and maybe we can make a playoff push. No, every single year the New York Yankees say the goal is to win a championship. So when you don't do that, we're going to hold you accountable. Yeah, are we spoiled? Abso-freaking-lutely we're spoiled because we have 27 of them. We want 28. It's a simple thing. You have $293 million. You have one of the best players to ever put on this jersey in his prime, and you're not building a team around him. You have one of the best pitchers of this generation at the top of your rotation, and you're going to waste it. You're going to waste it. You've wasted several prospects who you refuse to trade for major league ready players, and you refuse to use them correctly. You made Clint Frazier look like a nothing after you said he had legendary bat speed, treated him like a nothing. You're doing it to Peraza. You did it to Sanchez. You've done it in a way to Gleyber Torres. Thankfully, he's kind of dug himself out of it. But this is what we get mad about. We're expected to win every single year. I'm not saying we have to win a championship every single year for me to be like, this is a success. But we're supposed to be in that final 4 or final 6 or whatever you want to say. We're supposed to be there every year, whether we're getting bounced out in the first round but losing in 5 or putting up a fight in the ALCS. But we got swept last year, embarrassingly swept in the ALCS last year against a team that we can't beat. And you came out and said, well, at least we got there. Like, come on. It took for Garrett Cole to say, yeah, we got waxed. Not even the GM can admit. The GM's like, oh, you know, there was some factors. No, didn't matter. You put the team out there, they lost, and they lost bad, and you did nothing to fix it. Instead of adding a bat to a lineup that desperately needed it, you added another pitcher, who I like Rodon. I think he's going to be really good when he's fully healthy. But you need a bat. You didn't add one. You did not add a single bat to this lineup that would have helped the guys you already had. Yeah, Rizzo, Stanton, Judge, Torres, Bader, those are good guys to have in the lineup. You trusted Anthony Volpe. Great. But you didn't add on top of that? Like, what are we doing? We go back to the offseason, and again, we're not finished yet. Remember that? That was the term. We're not finished yet. All Brian Cashman tried to do was get Brian Reynolds, and he never had a shot at Brian Reynolds because the Pirates wanted something that we did not have, which was top pitching prospects. Even before the Montas trade, we didn't have it. We didn't have those guys. Waldichuk isn't that guy. The Texas Rangers have much better pitching prospects than we do. The Pirates wanted a Bobby Miller type for good reason. Look what he's doing for the Dodgers this year. So he tried it all offseason to get one guy instead of being like, I can have Conforto or Bellinger for just money and add a big bat to my lineup and get left field figured out finally, even if it's for just one more year. And then we can move on with the prospects next year and Dominguez and Pereira and Spencer Jones. We have a lot of guys coming up, but they're not ready yet. Why is he not doing this stuff? Instead, let's give it to Billy McKinney and then Jake Bowers. No, we'll put Aaron Hicks out there again. No, we'll put an infielder. Oh, let's make Isaiah Kiner for the left fielder. Like, why don't you just put Peraza out there at this point? Just do it. Because you've done everything else. You've used every other infielder in the outfield. And Anthony Volpe is essentially playing left field with the way he's having to track down these pop flies. Why don't you put Peraza out there? Because it's better than having him sit on the bench every single goddamn day.
Sneal, Rob, what about the open roof impacting the launch angles and exit velos? My Amazon-powered toilet bowl cover gives me better StatCast results. That's one of my favorite comments of the day. I'm giving a little star for that. Spot on, my guy. Rob is 100% right. Absolute facts. It's a joke what they're doing with Peraza. I don't understand it. I don't know what Peraza's done differently than Volpe for Peraza to merit being ignored. He's been called back up. They moved Josh Donald in the 60-day DL, 60-day IL. That is your opportunity to give Peraza everyday at-bats. That is your opportunity. He's probably the best defensive infielder we actually have. You know, he'll play a better second base than Torres. He's a better shortstop than Volpe. Sorry. Facts. He can play third base, right? You can put him anywhere in the infield on a daily basis, and he'll be fine, right? You need to have that on a regular basis because you need to learn what we got. This stupid circus act we have in left field where all you really need to do is just go into our minor league system, call up Pereira, see what you got. Give him a couple months, right? Hey, you're telling me that when you look at our phenomenal analytics crew, right? We have 13 left fielders, most of them infielders, right? And if you look at our F-WAR, it's a minus, right? And it's amongst the least productive in all of the majors over the last 2-3 years. You're telling me that just one, if they just made that move and just brought somebody from the minors, that he would perform worse than this freaking succession of 13 idiots that we have out there playing left field is somehow a better option? No. And we're just people just talking on a podcast, and our plan is so much simpler and so much better than this ridiculous Ferris wheel of nonsense playing left field on a daily basis, and it is a circus act. It is a circus act, and it's shameful. This is the New York Yankees. I'm not accepting that when you wear the NY on that cap, as Rob does, that that we have this joke in left field. I'm not accepting it anymore because I watched that game against the Mets, and that left field joke is the reason why we didn't even compete in that game yesterday. That's why. Nobody knew what they were doing. We're just standing around. So just give me a break. Give me a freaking break with this. This is bullshit. These fans pay good money to watch this product. If I was in the stands watching that absolute shit show yesterday, I would be apoplectic. It's absolutely apoplectic. I would be. Rob works incredibly hard. Rob works incredibly hard on a daily basis, and he puts his time aside to do this for us, and we love him for it because he's the man. But he works incredibly hard as well with his other job. And, I think Rob would be pissed off if you used your money, your hard-earned money, to go and then go to Yankee Stadium and pay for your chicken buckets and your buddy to come along, and you sit in the stands and you watch this left field fuckfest going on, and people don't know where they're standing, people don't know where they're going, automatic outs and getting completely shut down by the Mets, right? The frickin' Mets. I think you'd be pissed off. And you'd be like, what did I waste my money on? Right? And so this goes to all you guys watching who wasted good money on that product. You have every reason to be pissed off. I didn't pay money. I just paid money on MLB TV to watch it, and I'm pissed off because this is far below the Yankee standard.
I get mine for free, and I'm pissed off having to watch.
Exactly. This is a joke. This is not acceptable. I don't care who you are. If you're a Yankee fan, you cannot accept that. I'm sorry.
This team looks like every baseball movie about the Bad News Bears, or every movie where the ragtag team comes together. But at first, the coach has to find a way to get them to work as a unit. So they're just like, where do I go? And they're bumping heads and they're falling over and they're throwing their gloves. This is what we are. And Aaron Boone's supposed to be the guy that fixes this. Like, the team from Hardball wasn't even this bad at the start. The Bad News Bears, this is what we are, the Bad News Bears. And this is a major league team. And I also want to shout out Bobby Tats because he worked his ass off as well. I'm sure if he was at the stadium last night, he'd be redder than the bottom of our screen where it says comment, share, subscribe. By the way, do all those things if you haven't done it yet. Hit that like button, do all those things. That's how red Bobby Tats would be at the stadium. His bald head would be fuming. There'd be smoke coming out of it. And he'd be on here going nuts. I know a lot of people are asking where he is. He's not here today, but he will be back. Yeah, and we mentioned this earlier, Li. Oh, I thought we were above 500. Okay, so we were worse. Li corrected me. We were worse. Take away the two worst teams in baseball. That's where we are. So thank you for correcting me. I thought we were 47 and 45. Turns out we're 45 and 47, so it's worse. We're below 500 unless we play the two worst teams in baseball. Not to mention the fact that we lost 2 out of 3 to the fourth worst team in baseball, the Colorado Rockies. Here we are. This is where we are. It's a joke. It is an absolute joke. And I'm not, again, I don't know if we're going to win tonight. I hope we do. I'm never going to say I hope the Yankees lose. I hope we go on a streak. I hope we add at the deadline because I never want to see my team lose just for the sake of me being like, I told you so. I never want to be right when I'm being negative. I never want to be like, this team's not going anywhere and be like, I told you so. I want them to shut me up and be like, well, we're going to go on a run. But I don't trust that they're going to go on a run with this team. And it's not necessarily the players' fault because they're not that good.
How can you blame McKinney and Bowers? Yeah, they're not supposed to be playing for the New York Yankees.
They're not supposed to be playing every day. Like, if you want to have them call up in case of an injury, but once the guys come back, you got to get rid of them. But McKinney's been here for like a month now. Bowers is, and I called for Bowers' name earlier this year. I didn't think he'd be playing this long, but here he is. And he got to a point where we had to hope he came back sooner than later because we needed that, I guess, pop that he might provide. That's how bad it was. And, like, is there a savior out there? And this has been a question that we've asked all season long. Is there a savior on the market? Everyone thinks it's Soto, But why would we give up so many assets for Soto who may or may not get us to that third wild card spot? We don't know yet. So I think your best bet now is just to get a rental that's not going to cost you that much and hope that you can make a run at it. At least you say you gave it a shot instead of just giving up. But at the same time, we don't have a lot to sell. Does the team want Domingo Germán? Does the team want Severino, one of our bullpen arms? I mean, we're seeing bullpen arms go for a pretty high price right now. The Braves just had to give up 2 top 30 prospects for a bad pitcher in Pierce Johnson. So maybe Cashman kind of jumps to that opportunity. But if we lose tonight and we lose like the first 2 against Baltimore, if they go by and try to make a run at this thing, it's going to be too late. So I don't know what the answer is. You have an off day tomorrow. If you win tonight, I think tomorrow might be the day you have to go get a bat. Because if you go the same exact lineup and you just add Judge to it against Baltimore, you might score 5 runs, but you're probably going to give up 6 or 7 unless Garrett Cole's pitching.
Another thing I want to pick up on, which is as shameful. Don't forget, it was not long ago, 2018, this team was ready to win a World Series. The team was built. We had the baby Bombers ready to rock and roll. We just added former MVP in Giancarlo Stanton. This team was loaded and ready for bear, right? Not long after that, we then had Garrett frickin' Cole. Generational pitcher, right? Got a generational player in Aaron Judge. What has that gotten us? A couple of playoff spots, a wild card travesty loss against the Red Sox, a terrible series against Tampa Bay where we completely mismanaged it and imploded, right? Swept off the Astros last year, and the baby Bombers era is in smoke. There's no baby Bombers anymore. They're all either gone or lost, or in Clayton Frazier's case, God knows where he is. I don't even know. Is he a major league player, or is he working at McDonald's? Is he serving donuts at Dunkin' Donuts? I don't know where Clint Frazier is, but this was our legendary bat speed guy. And Duhar, don't know where he is. I don't know where any of these guys are because it's all gone in smoke. This was Brian Cashman's baby Bombers that he's built. It's in smoke, right? And for that to happen between 2018 to 2023, and it's completely gone, just 5 years, and it's completely in smoke, that's everything. That tells you everything about Brian Cashman. And guess what? It wasn't even 2023. I know where Clint Frazier is, D-Rod. I'm just saying, it's like, do you see him playing for the Cubs much? No, he sucks. Or the White Sox. Who cares, right? What I'm saying is between 2018 to 2023, 5 years is gone. But it was long gone before that. This team was freaking shot after 2021. That's the truth. This whole thing was in smoke pretty quickly.
Yeah,
is because he threw the wrong manager and he didn't back up the team when needed. He didn't help the team when needed, made all the wrong moves, and this thing is in smoke. And it's all because of Brian Cashman. He gets a 4-year deal for it.
Again, to me, that is Hal's done some really good things, but giving him a 4-year extension after last year, they gave Boone 3 years. I think it was 3 years with an option for a 4th, but why these two were not given 1-year deals? Like, if you wanted to be like, okay, last year, 2 of our best hitters were hurt. Let's go into this season, give them 1-year deals and see how we do, and then reassess after this year. I can understand that. But the fact that they said, you're getting 4 more years for this, like, it's why I don't want to put a lot of blame on Hal because he gives you $293 fucking million to spend on a baseball team. Yeah. But when you give this guy an extension and you be like, he's done some great things. Yeah, 20 years ago we did some great things, but now what is he giving you? The only time we won is when he spent $500 million on 3 free agents to make you a World Series team because you already had a really good team before that. Now it's just like, do we want to spend? Do we not want to spend? And when we do, it's on the wrong players, whether it's extending Chapman or that crazy contract we gave Zach Britton or trading for Josh Donaldson or whatever it is that we do. The money is being spent so poorly, it's like he doesn't know what he's doing or the people that are telling him what to do. Fishman is a joke. all 30 other people that work with him are a joke. How do you have the biggest analytic team in baseball and don't use them right is beyond me. And this has been a problem for so long. The baby bomber thing, there's one guy left, and that's Judge. He's the only one left. He's the only one that worked out for him because he's the only one the Yankees couldn't screw up. He's the only one.
Terrible.
It's gotten to a point where you can't really watch it. And yeah, LI bringing it up, just the wild card, the ALCS, the 20 doesn't matter. We could have been in the ALCS 5 straight years, and that would be something to be happy about. But at some point, you'd be like, can you get past it? Can you maybe just once get past the ALCS? The fact that we've been there 3 times since 2017, and each time we lose to the same team, and you haven't been able to do anything to get better than them, that's what bothers me. It's like Houston now is your kryptonite. And 2017, what couldn't we do? Score against the Astros. We couldn't score against them. It wasn't because they were cheating. We just couldn't score in Houston. So we got Giancarlo Stanton. But then Boston embarrassed you. In 2019, you couldn't score against Houston. We didn't add anybody in 2020. We didn't got any. Well, we got Cole, but again, I guess their idea was, well, we'll just try to score. You just got to score less than we do if we have Garrett Cole, but that's only one pitcher. And last year, we got swept. You didn't even bring back the one guy that was hurt that may have helped you in Benintendi. You didn't bring him back. You let him walk. They're not adding anybody to a team that clearly needs offense when it matters most. And then, and I don't like to give the guy credit, but the other night, Alex Rodriguez give him credit because he's a hell of a baseball mind. I know he's done terrible things, but he made such a good point with the way he talked about the way he swung the bat. HGH or not, steroids or not, the guy was a hell of a baseball player. He would have been 500, 600 home runs without the juice.
Yep.
He has a freaking mind of a baseball savant, as you always say. And the way he explained it, with the way they swing with the launch angle, a longer swing, and it prevents you from doing a lot more because the Yankees are so fixed on trying to get the ball over the wall, despite having a hitter's park, level swings. Keep it simple, stupid, as Michael Scott would say. Why are we doing this stuff? I don't get it. How have we not changed our approach and say it hasn't worked for 5-6 years and we're not going to fix it? Yet, here's something we've always brought up. Our best player doesn't even listen to that philosophy because he's 6'7". He doesn't need to have a level swing or an uppercut swing because they're trying to get everybody to be Aaron Judge when they don't need to be Aaron Judge. Gleyber Torres was an all-fields hitter. They turned him into a pull hitter.
He was a 320 hitter. 320 hitter. Now he's a 260 hitter.
Yeah. Gary Sanchez was 280, 275, whatever, 35 home runs. Could have been the best.
190 hitter.
190. Not even now he's playing sporadic.
You lose 70, 80 points on your batting average and probably your own base percentage purely because of this stupid launch angle thing. Give me a break with the launch angle.
Yep. That's where we gotten. So, again, I've said it before, until this organization wakes up and says the problem is the guys running the show, not necessarily the players on the field, because it's hard to expect these players to carry you to a winning season, and even the manager. But he's part of this whole process too. Until that happens, I don't trust anything's changing. If you go, you can get Bellinger. You can get Yan Gomes from the Cubs as well. You get 2 better bats in your lineup. You can add a relief pitcher. Will it matter at the end of the day? Even if we get to the 3rd spot in the wild card, we might play the team in the Central, which we could probably beat. Like if we play the Twins in the wild card round, we probably beat the Twins or the Guardians. But then we have to go play Tampa Bay or Baltimore in a best of 5. I don't know. I don't think we beat them. And so I feel like I try to be positive, but like this team gives me no reason to be positive because we were just positive 2 days ago. And now here we have spent an hour just complaining because every other day this team goes from being, hey, maybe they have something to believe in, to clown show. Even clowns would do a better job in left field than what we saw last night. Literal
100%.
Clowns would be better.
Well said.
And I think on that note, unless Donald, do you have anything else you want to add to that?
No, all I'll add is the fact that, the argument that you hear about Brian Cashman is, we made the playoffs every year. bro, if you have the luxury of being able to field Giancarlo Stanton, Aaron Judge, two-time batting champion DJ LeMahieu, you got Anthony Rizzo, Garrett Cole, and you can't make the playoffs, you are a giant joke, right? The fact that they make the playoffs and then implode, I mean, you're still a joke, in my opinion. What, do you want a cookie? You make the playoffs. Congratulations. You're the highest payroll in baseball, unlimited money, unlimited resource. Hal Steinbrenner will give you whatever you need to build an analytics team to your heart's content. And what, the most you can do is put a playoff team that implodes in the first round of the playoffs? I'm sorry. I'm not giving you a benefit of the doubt for that. You got Aaron Judge and Garrett Cole. You can't do better? Give me a frickin' break. Go get another job because you suck.
And on that note, we're going to wrap it up here at the Pinstripe Chronicles. Thank you to everybody that was in there. Sunil, NFE, Jonathan, Fortrain, D-Rod. I can go on and on. All the names. LI popped in. We saw TC in there. Everybody that was here, thank you as usual. You're always in here, always adding to the conversation, always talking to each other, talking to us. It's great to interact with you guys. We love doing it because if we didn't have you guys, we'd just be yelling at each other for an hour every single day. And we'd probably get real sick of it because we are.
NFB, thank you, man.
Absolutely. You rock as well. All you guys rock. And I know he's not here, so we're going to say it anyway. Bobby Tats will always tell you, wear your pinstripes of pride and play hard.